Hey guys, welcome back to a brand new episode of the Football Suite Chat Show. I'm your host Leon, and with me always is my co-host Richard and my other co-host Andrew, head of social media, of course. This week we have a brand new guest with us. We have Gage. He's a Tottenham fan. Gage, what made you want to come on the show? I know you're an avid viewer. You've commented on the shows quite a few times.
Yeah, well, I think it's a really good idea that you've got going here with having fans come on and such, and just the fact that we can all put our opinions in on the show is great, I think. So
yeah, definitely. We're glad to have you on. Like we say, we want new guests. If you're interested in coming on the show, please leave a comment in the comment section, and Andrew will get back to you on that. If you follow us on Twitter, we're always posting on there. So yeah, stay in contact with us. Today's topics are the mid-season Premier League review, our sort of view of how the season's going and what's ahead. The next topic will be potential transfers in January, and transfers that have already happened, what we think, ones that are just waiting for this January to roll around, and manager movements as well. Okay, but we'll start with the first topic, the mid-season Premier League review. What do you guys think of this?
Well, look, I mean, it's not thrown up too many shocks, has it? Let's be honest. I mean, barring probably Southampton and West Ham being in the top six, you'd expect Chelsea, City, United, Arsenal to be thereabouts, really. I think the fact that West Ham are going strong. I mean, it was a pretty good game against Arsenal. It was one of them ones that could have gone either way. Arsenal are now starting to beat the teams around them. And I know it's only West Ham, but maybe last season Arsenal, they got beat in that game. Maybe not. Song scored early. Arsenal played pretty well, to be fair. They played pretty well over the last few games, to be perfectly honest. So there's a lot less of the Arsene Wenger out chance. Now they're starting to win games again.
Also, I know that obviously Andrew's our show Arsenal fan, but to go away at Stoke is always a really hard match, and not many teams can do it. But so I think that was a lot of the hype around it. We're losing another match. But what do you think, Andrew? Do you think Arsenal are doing well at the moment, or?
Yes, it's another one of those things, isn't it? It's the whole in the festive period, Arsenal tend to be actually quite good, because there tends to be those few days where Arsenal are actually get those points and get the results you actually need, like the West Ham one. I think from this season, I mean, all credit to West Ham. I mean, they've made Upton Park quite a tough place to go. Yeah. And I mean, and I think it's come to a point now where if you can go to Upton Park and get 3 points, it's a good thing to do regardless of the performance and everything.
Yeah, definitely. And also I think maybe some of the transfers are board transfers, but the players that have been brought in, they're not Sam Allardyce players, but he seems to have gelled quite well with them. But I don't know if that's going to continue with Andy Carroll coming back straight into the squad. As much as he's doing okay, will he get injured 2-3 weeks down the line and then these players have to suddenly find form again? We don't know. But it's definitely interesting. Do you not think Liverpool have been a bit of a shock this season, Richard?
Not at all. This isn't any sort of bias towards Liverpool because I'm a United fan. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Liverpool are one of the most feared teams in Europe. They've got a fantastic history. And they're a team that nobody in the Champions League would want to draw. That nobody in the Europa League will want to draw. Nobody, I don't care who you are, whether it's Chelsea, Arsenal, United, City, nobody likes going to Anfield.
Yeah.
But the problem Liverpool have got is they've got a mid-table squad. And last season was a one-off because they had a world-class striker up front.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, Suarez never really did it in the big games on a regular, consistent basis. But it was the smaller teams, it was your Norwiches, it was your West Broms where he'd scored 2 or 3 goals that got Liverpool where they needed to be. And now they've lost that, and they're struggling to beat those teams because they've not got that world-class striker. He took a massive gamble on Balotelli, and it's not paid off. It's as simple as that. And I think Liverpool need to realise that that's the problem right now. We don't know when Sturridge is going to be back. He was supposed to be back. He gets injured again. He's now in. He's out for a bit.
Can you see him coming back this season? It seems to be one thing after another, doesn't it?
He'll come back this season, but it's going to take it. He's not going to walk back into the team and be the player he was last season. He's going to take 3, 4, 5 games to get back to match fitness. I mean, look at Falcao at United. He's not quite there yet. He's now starting to be able to play for 90 minutes. He's getting his match fitness back, but he's just not that. He's not sharp in front of goal.
Yeah,
he's not the Falcao that everybody knows. And it's exactly the same with Sturridge. He'll come back. We all know he's a good player. We all know he can score goals. But as soon as he comes back into that team, there's going to be so much pressure on that lad. He's going to have to perform from day one.
Yeah, I totally agree. Also, with Tottenham, Gage is obviously a Tottenham fan. Do you think Tottenham are underperforming or they're just playing where they should be at the moment? What are you expecting from Tottenham this season? Has it gone well?
With Tottenham, I think it's similar to the Liverpool effect. After we lost Bale, we spent money on a lot of average players like Lamella. I mean, what has he done ever?
We got didn't he get Serie A player the year before he went to Tottenham?
I don't actually know if he did or not.
Most players could get Player of the Year in Serie A. It's not the best league in the world, is it?
That's what I was thinking.
True, that's true.
But, I mean, Lamella only just scored his first Premier League goal like 2 or 3 games ago, and he's been in the Premier League for a season now. Yeah. So it's kind of embarrassing for Lamella, especially because he's a first-team player. Yeah. I mean, and like Fazio, he's a good defender. But he wasn't worth what we paid for him, I don't think.
That you overpaid for the amount of players you got. But then I also think that's a big problem with clubs knowing that you need to be getting players, so they're obviously going to overcharge. But I didn't think I didn't think Tottenham had a particularly bad team. I didn't think they had a great team. Obviously,
they don't have a bad team, but
some of the players that were brought in, it seems like they were brought in quite similar to Liverpool in just squad players.
They've got a mid-table squad. I mean, if you look at, bar again, probably Christian Eriksen, you put their team on paper, and the way I look at any team is, and it's the same with United, it's the same with Chelsea, it's the same with City, Arsenal. You go from the goalkeeper to the forward. You go through every single starting player that they have, their strongest 11 players, and you look at them and go, who would they replace in the Chelsea team? Who would they replace in the United team? Who would they replace in the Arsenal team? And you look at it. Really, apart from Eriksen, who'd replace
and Lloris?
And Lloris, who would replace anybody in the Chelsea team, the Arsenal team, the United team, the City team? None of them, bar 2 players. And it's the same with Liverpool. Who in the Liverpool team, bar maybe Steven Gerrard, who would get into the United team? Who would
not even now?
I don't think Gerrard could get into the United team.
Yeah, not now. Maybe.
I think the only definitely. I think the only reason Steven Gerrard's in that team is because of past loyalty.
Yeah. But the thing is, with Gerrard, he's still got that something about him. He can. Look at the game at Old Trafford a few weeks ago. The pass that he played in the first half for the left back.
But that's the thing. It's the passing. The passing and his attacking stuff. His attacking play isn't bad. Okay, he's lost a bit of pace, but he never really had pace anyway. And he was never known for that. But with Gerrard, his passing's brilliant, but he's not a defensive midfielder. And if you're putting him in that role, expect him to be an attacking midfielder isn't going to work if on the defence that he can't cope with it. And that's the problem, I think, with Gerrard at the moment. Lampard was never asked to play in a defensive midfield role, and Mikel.
That's what you've got to look at, though. Is that the Liverpool team, the Spurs team, they've got an average squad, and to be perfectly honest with you, it's the one good season, 1 or 2 good seasons that Spurs had while they had Bale. That now everybody at Spurs is expecting them to be challenging for the top 4 every season. You can't challenge for the top 4 when you've got a mid-table squad. And, when you've not got that player that week in, week out is going to make the difference, whereas last season Liverpool had it in Suarez, they had that week in, week out, know he's going to do something special or he's going to bite somebody. 9 times out of 10 in the Premier League, it was do something special. And that's what dragged Liverpool through games. It's the same now with Eriksen. He's scoring goals left, right and centre. He's pulling them through games. He's doing that killer pass. But they've got nobody else. And I fear for teams like your Spurs, and no disrespect to Arsenal, I feel for teams like Arsenal, because if Sanchez gets injured, Arsenal are in trouble.
Yeah.
And Andrew, what's your opinion on that?
Just in terms of the Tottenham one, me personally, I think Tottenham have had quite a decent start to the season. Everyone goes on about how poor their team is and everything, but aren't they like 2 wins away from the top 4?
Yeah, well, actually, if they beat United, they would have been in the top 4 for
That's what I mean,
matter
exactly.
of hours.
So
And I also, definitely, I definitely agree with that. And also, I feel that, especially for a new manager to go into a team, he hasn't brought any players with him. Normally a manager has his pick of a certain player, or at least 2, to bring with him to a club, and he hasn't really had the chance to do that.
Here's the thing with Pochettino, though, especially because coming from Southampton, so many other English teams have, they've been buying off of Southampton. But I feel bad for Pochettino and even AVB is our manager, our owner thinks that we should be qualifying for the top 4 with the side we have, but realistically, it's not good enough to beat teams like United and City and Chelsea to get into the top 4.
The thing is with Spurs, you're right in what you're saying, Andrew. Obviously, they're a win off the top 4, but if Swansea win tonight, they go into the new year in 8th position. And that's the issue, is they are 1 or 2 wins away from the top 4. But let's be perfectly honest. We're 19 games into the season. We're halfway through the season. Yeah. Are Spurs going to be challenging for the top 4? Come the end of the season, are they going to be 3 wins away from the top 4? They're not. Because the likes of Chelsea, City, United, Arsenal, they'll kick on. And the thing is, that we've got the January transfer window coming up. United can see where their issues are defensively. So if they were clever about it, they'll buy a few defenders. Arsenal can see where their issues are. So Arsenal can put some money in and try and get a few players in the areas that they need. Whereas, is he really going to give Spurs another 50, 60 million to spend?
No, I think that's definitely the problem. I don't know if Andrew agrees with this. Tottenham won't buy anyone other than perhaps Morgan Schneiderlin.
And I heard that they might buy Berahino, but how much are they going to have to pay for Berahino? He's been okay with West Brom, but it's quite a risky buy, if you ask my opinion. Especially with Harry Kane. Kane also is basically the same player as Berahino. And the other thing is we've got Adebayor and Soldado, but they're both extremely old in terms of.
You've got to give it to Kane. Every match he's played in, he seems to have done quite well.
Oh, he has.
Bar the Chelsea match and a bit of luck on his side, he could have taken the lead at the Bridge. But Andrew, I don't know if you agree, but I don't think Arsenal are going to buy anyone in January anyway.
No, I'd be very surprised unless it's another kind of Kim Kellstrom on loan 6 months. I can't see a big purchase coming in unless it's the guy that I mentioned the other day from Ipswich, or maybe Winston Reid or something. It won't be a break the bank purchase now.
And I think Chris Smalling if you want.
I've heard about that. That is actually linked. I think that could possibly work. Actually, I think we do joke about it, but we know Chris Smalling is a good player.
He seems every match he plays against Chelsea, he has a worldie.
That's what I mean. He's a good player.
No, he's not.
Let's say it. If he joins Arsenal and he has a few good games, Richard will be saying about how much he dislikes him.
That's what I mean, exactly.
But he won't have a few good games though. Chris Smalling and a few good games don't go in the same sentence. It's like Danny Welbeck and world-class striker. They just don't go together.
Would you prefer to see him go to Arsenal or Phil Jones go to Arsenal?
I'd prefer. I think Phil Jones is probably one of the biggest prospects Manchester United have got and England have got. I think the problem with Phil Jones is number one, he doesn't get a run in his best position. which is obviously centre back, and number 2, he's still doing the same thing he was doing when he was a kid at Blackburn Rovers. He's throwing himself in front of challenges. He's getting injured. Sometimes it's like Phil Jones is made out of glass. You kind of wince as a United fan when he goes into a challenge because you think, is he going to come out of this okay? Is he going to be injured? Look, I mean, I'm all for the Nemanja Vidics and John Terrys and the Dawsons and the Tony Adams of this world who would throw themselves in front of anything. They'd do anything they could to stop the ball from going in the net. You know, that we've seen videos of Vidic throwing his head in. He's fell over and he's throwing his head in to try and get the ball. And, you know, that's fantastically passionate stuff. But you've got to know when to do it and when not to do it. And the thing is with Phil Jones at the minute, he doesn't seem to know when.
Yeah, he's very clumsy, isn't he?
Yeah, you know, I mean, look at the game against Newcastle. Stupid decision to stick your leg out and give a penalty away.
Yeah.
You know, and that's just that he needs that run of games at centre back with if Manchester United get somebody like Ron Vlaar from Aston Villa, you know, if we can get him on a pretty cheap deal, and he knows how to defend. He's a defender. He's nothing else. He doesn't proclaim to be anything else. He is a defender.
Yeah.
If we can get him alongside you Phil Joneses and Chris Smalling if he stays at the club and Rojo and that rock at the back, he's going to learn from that, and that's the problem is Phil Jones at the minute hasn't got, you know, 1 minute he's playing with Smalling, then it's Rojo, then it's Evans, then it's Carrick.
But I think you could also see that when Alex Ferguson was there, you know, it seemed like he didn't even know where to play him. You know, he was right back one match, he was centre back, he was midfield. I
just think with Alex Ferguson, it was a case of giving players keeping the loyalties, and you know he didn't. If Rio Ferdinand and Vidic were both fit, he'd played him, even though it was 2 years ago that Rio Ferdinand's legs went. You know, he was still persistent with Rio Ferdinand, and don't get me wrong, Rio Ferdinand was a fantastic servant to the club. But his legs went. You saw the effect that Gareth Bale had when Spurs beat us at Old Trafford, and Gareth Bale scored in that game. It looked like Rio Ferdinand was running on sand.
Definitely.
There was no way to, and for me as a football manager, to think, well, hang on a minute, there's a lot of fast players in the Premier League. How about we give the young 20-year-old Phil Jones a chance? And, you know, we maybe can keep up the pace. We maybe can make that decision. And that was the problem with him. He never actually had the chance to until, obviously, Rio Ferdinand left. And now he's been injured on a regular basis.
Yeah. And also, when we talk about developing players, we've seen Southampton this season, you know, they're sitting in 4th place. Do you think they can make that spot their own?
No.
No, that's a no from Gage. What about you, Richard?
Why not? Let's be honest. I mean, why not? I mean, they've got 6 goal difference on Arsenal there. I mean, that's 3 points. I mean, I know they're on the same points as Arsenal. They've lost 6 games. They had a bit of a blip, and they had a bit of a blip where they lost a few games on the bounce. But you know, to score 32 goals this season and only concede 15, that's top 4 form.
Especially with a new manager and not spending a hell of a lot of money. But what do you think to that, Andrew? We've had both Gage and Richard's answers. What about you?
I think I'm going to sit on the fence and say that they can, but I think they might just miss out. I think it could, like what Richard's saying. I mean, if you look at the form, it's there. The stats are there to say it can happen. But I also agree with Gage the fact that they probably will just miss out on it because they haven't got that squad and that experience to probably get in the top 4.
Yeah, and the other thing is, our club's going to be looking, like bigger clubs going to be looking to buy in January someone like Pella or even Forster, really. Like, are they going to want to buy these players?
It could be, but then it seems like with Southampton, they have so many young kids coming forward that they seem to be fitting well into the team.
What else have Southampton got to play for?
Yeah.
You know, Arsenal are in 5th on 33 points, but they've got the Champions League. Arsenal will want to defend the FA Cup. Because realistically, and this is no disrespect to Arsenal, realistically, the FA Cup is the only trophy that they can win this season.
Yeah.
They're not going to win the Champions League and they're not going to win the Premier League. So realistically, the FA Cup is the only trophy that Arsenal can win. Now, they're going to be going all out, number one, to finish in the top four, because Champions League football is what it's all about. Number two, to try and get as far in the Champions League as possible. And number three, to concentrate on trying to keep the FA Cup at the Emirates.
And so also, we've seen over the last few years, people joke about Arsenal making the fourth spot their own, but do you think they can get that this year?
But that's the thing, they've got 3 trophies to go at. They've got 3 competitions. That's, Tuesday, Sunday, Wednesday, Saturday. If they go to the semi-final of the Champions League, the quarter-final of the Champions League, if they get to the final of the FA Cup, they're playing, 2 or 3 games every 14 days.
Mm.
Southampton are going to be playing once a week.
Mm.
Manchester United are going to be playing once a week. If Chelsea and Manchester City go all the way to the final of the FA Cup, or if they go all the way to the quarters, semi-finals of the Champions League, Manchester United could catch them up, because United are playing once a week.
Yeah.
And that's what you've got to look at, is Southampton are going to be playing that once a week football. Arsenal are going to be playing 2 or 3 times, every 10 days.
Yeah, it could definitely show form. And also with City, I think I'm not even confident that after yesterday's performance against Burnley, that Man City are going to be a big threat if Sergio Aguero stays injured, because it seems like they really struggle to keep form when he's out. And, they've got such a good group of players, but, it seems to be a one-man team at the moment.
Well, credit to Burnley. They did play really well in that game.
Oh, no, definitely. But what I'm saying is, when you have that team available, and you're 2-0 up at half-time, you shouldn't be losing. I don't know what you think, Andrew.
No, you really shouldn't.
I don't know what either of you guys think, but what do you think about that, Andrew?
Yeah, well, I mean, Sergio Aguero is a player who can just completely change a game. And, of course, when you lose a guy like that, it's going to affect any team. I mean, if you put him in Barcelona's team, if then he gets injured, it would affect it. I mean, that's what you get when that's why we call people like Sergio Aguero world class, is because they go look at the Bayern Munich game, they get the game by the scruff of the neck and win it for their team.
Mm. And also, after we've seen reports that Alan Pardew may be on his way to Crystal Palace, where do you think that leaves Newcastle, Andrew?
Well, I just like to say I don't blame him at all for leaving. I think with the fans, the way they have treated him for doing such a good job, and the fact that Crystal Palace used to play there. So, I mean, I think in terms of him, it's completely up to him to go to Crystal Palace. But I think Newcastle, I mean, who's really out there who they certainly want? I mean, it's a tough one, isn't it? Because
as I understand, the leading runner for that is Steve Bruce.
Oh, I want to see Bruce at Newcastle.
Well, he's from the area, isn't he? So I could picture that happening.
And obviously they want this whole London mafia out, so...
I don't understand I honestly don't understand the logic in Pardew leaving Newcastle. Newcastle are playing well. They're in the top half of the table. I think Crystal Palace are going to get relegated. Is it the right move for Alan? But they must be offering him a hell of a lot of money.
Well, maybe he's just... maybe like Andrew said, he's seen the way that the fans have reacted to him. He's seen that they aren't playing excellent, and even when he does play well, they seem to still be on his back. Maybe he's had enough. Maybe he's felt that, his time's up.
Plus that Crystal Palace is a big part of his career as well.
Mm. And obviously London, where he's from and stuff like that. Like, we've heard before about...
The thing is with that, though, is you've got to look at the West Ham situation. 5 months ago, everybody at West Ham was calling for the manager's head. All the press, there was a thing in the paper that he'd lost the dressing room, he'd lost the fans, he'd lost the owners, and 5 months later, they're challenging the top half of the table. And that happens in football. You know,
oh yeah, definitely. And I think if we're looking at sort of like these things happen in football, then yeah, definitely. But nowadays in football, I feel that maybe he thinks if I can get a payday, go back to London and blah blah blah, a bit less stress, less expectations, then maybe it's an easier thing on him. But that's just my opinion. What do you guys think on that?
Well, yeah, I think, like I said,
Oh, go ahead, Andrew.
No, so sorry. Yeah, I was just going to repeat what you were saying. In his eyes, it must make perfect sense with the whole sentiment, and probably like you are saying, Leon, if we are a bit cynical, there probably is a massive payday at Crystal Palace, in all fairness.
Yeah, definitely. And also, we've seen that Mike Ashley's going out. Maybe he's running before he's pushed.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Look, the thing is, number one, he's not going to get pushed. He signed an 8-year contract 3 seasons ago.
Yeah, that's why I think it's a weird one.
He can't get sacked by Newcastle. It had cost him far too much money. The compensation that Crystal Palace must be paying must be ridiculous. Now, there's managers out there, no disrespect to Alan Pardew, that are not in jobs at the moment, that are not expecting massive amounts of money. There's managers that are at clubs at the moment, you know, that want a new job. You know, look at it at this point of view, is that Alan Pardew's got a 5-year contract left. He's at a club that consistently challenging the top half of the table. There must be something going on at Crystal Palace for Tony Pulis to walk out 2 days before the season starts. And let's be honest, did anybody really think that that Warnock could be the first manager sacked?
Not after some of the matches he's had this season. You know, he's done well. I don't know what they're expecting at Crystal Palace, because personally,
that's the thing. If they're expecting, if the owners of Crystal Palace are expecting to be a regular Premier League team, Alan Pardew's not going to get you that. You're getting relegated this season. So why not stick with Neil Warnock, who knows the Championship? Yeah, can bring in the relevant players that you need to get back into the Premier League and build from there.
Yeah, I totally agree, and especially we've seen Warnock in the past, and at the moment there isn't the other managers out there that I think would give you that much assurance that you could come straight back up. You know, maybe Chris Hughton, but I don't know if he's still in a job at the moment. But
Roy Keane's just left Tom Cleverley's house, so he's available, isn't he?
Oh, good old Roy. Yeah, but at least you'd get fear from the players from him. At least they'd work for him then.
But there's decent managers out there. There's Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's not got a job at the moment.
You know? I don't know about him though. He
went to Norway and won the championship back to back with a team that hadn't won it for years. You know that he took the wrong. In my opinion, Ole Solskjaer took the wrong job. He should have took the Aston Villa job when he had the chance. To go to it was never. Look, Alex Ferguson, Mourinho could have gone to Cardiff and done nothing, because you can't do anything in football when you've got an owner like Vincent Tan. You can't do that. You can't do anything as a manager when the owner's sat there saying, "This is my football club. It's my money. You buy the players I want. You do things the way I want it to be done. And if you don't like it, get out."
Yeah, that is true. Yeah, it's true. On the final point of this topic, we'll have a look at a team that done really well last season. Wasn't expected, but seems to be doing really bad now. It's Everton. What do you guys think of the sort of the downturn of form for them?
Europa League football. That's the only thing that proves. That's the only thing that does it. Again, Thursdays and Sundays just don't work when you've got a team that's obviously, because you don't get that much money from the Europa League as well, you can't really strengthen your team in terms of how much you need to when you go into places like Russia and everything on a Thursday night. It's just the Europa League kills so many teams, and we've seen it so many times. That's just
And
my
we've seen
view,
it
really.
this season with Everton, not only, and with Hull too. With Hull City, we've seen it there.
Yeah, definitely, I agree. And also with that, do you think that maybe they're putting so much pressure on the Europa League to get into the Champions League?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's one of the main factors now, isn't it? Like we pointed out in the show, is the fact that if you win the Europa League, you get in the Champions League. So, especially for a team like Everton, you can kind of move your priorities from actually finishing fourth to then possibly winning the Champions League as a way to get in the Champions League.
Yeah. Also, I feel that I remember you saying it on the show, actually, maybe a couple of episodes ago, that Lukaku is not in it for Lukaku anymore. You know, he isn't trying to impress anyone. He feels like he's at his place, so he doesn't have to put that much effort into it.
Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, yeah, it was one of my first shows I mentioned. That was the fact that maybe it is a psychological thing with a lot of these players as well. Because like Everton is a nice club to be at, isn't it? It's you don't hear many bad words saying about it. But then also, as the counter thing is, it's a nice club. You can go. That's why Samuel Eto's there. It's somewhere who will pay his wages, and you'll have a nice time. If you see what I mean. It's kind
yeah,
of
you're not made to fight and stuff like that. Yeah, but I know that you have a soft spot for him, Andrew, Richard. So what do you think of Everton this season?
Well, yeah, I mean, look, Everton are one of the very few remaining old-fashioned proper football clubs. You know, a family football club. You know, they've got an owner that does his absolute level best for the football club, and he's not. I mean, obviously he's there to try and win things and get the best players, but in essence, he loves the football club. You've got a fantastic fan base at Everton. It's one of the very, very few remaining proper football clubs. And nobody likes going to Goodison Park. It's a tough ground to go. But I just think that it's another one of those situations where last year they had a season where it was unexpected. They had a new manager, new philosophies, new way of doing things. They managed to keep hold of Leighton Baines. We looked at one point that he was either going to Arsenal or United. He was going somewhere. They managed to keep hold of him. Ross Barkley came through. He was a fresh face. He was a shining light. He was the next big thing. And it took a lot of pressure off a lot of people at Everton. And Martinez was doing a good job, and people were thinking, here we go. You know, it's a new way of Everton to go. But again, I mean, it's the same situation. Yeah, they've got Lukaku now on a permanent deal. They've got Samuel Eto'o in. But again, they're a mid-table average team.
And also, I think Gareth Barry is a big thing. Last season, he was excellent. This season, he's been...
he's kind of fallen off.
Yeah, I feel like sometimes you don't even know he's there until the defence are running at him, and he does with Gerrard.
Gareth Barry's another year older. And, it's the same with Steven Gerrard. He's another year older. And he can't keep doing. He can't. And has he got it in him to change his game? I mean, look at Michael Carrick at Manchester United. He's dropped into the centre-back when he needs to be, and he looks like a centre-back.
Yeah, definitely, I agree.
Gareth Barry got it in him to change his game? We've seen at Liverpool that Steven Gerrard, for however world class he's been throughout his career, he's not got it in him to change the way he plays football. Ryan Giggs did it at Manchester United. You know,
but also with Ryan Giggs, that's the whole thing. Having the manager that would happily say, yeah, we'll move you into the middle. We'll accommodate for you. But if you're having a manager that's in and he's seeing the sort of Nemanja Matic type of player on the market, you're not needed. We saw that with Lampard. He could have maybe kept Lampard and said, no, we'll accommodate for you. But he's brought in Cesc Fabregas. Managers nowadays, I don't think, have particular loyalty or are so under pressure themselves. They're thinking, I haven't got a chance to do this. I haven't got a chance to bring through youth players. And I feel that Roberto Martinez, he's probably got some pretty good job security, because I don't think Bill Kenwright's the sort of guy to get rid of a manager just on his quick thought. I think he's a proper manager, a proper owner. I think he's got a bit more sense than that.
No, he won't get rid of him, but there's only so much an owner can take, and I just think that Martinez has come in, and he's an extremely good manager, but can you ever see Martinez? I mean, I know that Arsenal, Andrew said not too long ago that he wouldn't mind him at Arsenal. But, is Martinez a top 4 manager? Is he? I honestly can't see it. And, I mean, that's just my opinion. I might be wrong, but I can't ever see Martinez getting a United job or a Chelsea job or an Arsenal job, especially when you've got the calibre of managers out there that you've got.
It's a fair point. We'll get on to the next topic now, but that was definitely an interesting thought, and it's going to be a very interesting season come January. But the next topic, potential transfers in January. We've heard the rumours of managers moving. Obviously, we mentioned earlier about Alan Pardew going to Crystal Palace. There's also social media rumours, not actually confirmed, that Jurgen Klopp will be leaving Dortmund. What's your opinion on that?
I think if Klopp's available, then I think the likes of Brendan Rodgers, Arsene Wenger, seriously need to be worried about their jobs, because this is the one opportunity that you get. It's like, for instance, when Mourinho was available, that was Chelsea's chance to get Mourinho back. If Mourinho would have gone to City or United or somewhere else, then that's Mourinho out of the picture as your manager for the next 3, 4, 5 years. Jurgen Klopp, if he's available, he's your option now. We stick with Arsene Wenger and try and find somebody when Wenger decides to retire or when we get rid of him, but Jurgen Klopp's no longer available. The same with Liverpool. Brendan Rodgers, do we stick it out with him, or do we cut our losses and get Jurgen Klopp? Because if we don't get him now, when can we get him?
Yeah, and what's your opinion on this, Andrew? Would you be happy Wenger going and you potentially getting one of the most wanted managers?
I think if it came to it, this is just hypothetical, but let's say tomorrow we all wake up and Jurgen Klopp has resigned from Dortmund manager. I wouldn't want him Monday morning taking over Arsenal, because I don't think that's fair on the manager who's there now. I think if it was the summer and it was the fact that Wenger said, right, I'm going to have to resign, and then he just walked away from the club, then that's completely fine, and Klopp could happily take his place. But I wouldn't want Jurgen Klopp mid-season or anything like that, because I'm not a big fan of mid-season managerial changes, because I don't really think they work. So I wouldn't be a big fan of that, but I think I agree with Richard. It's a really tough one to judge because you don't know when he's going to be available next. So for example, like was brought up Liverpool, I think Liverpool are the main ones who are most realistically, if Jurgen Klopp was to, in the next few weeks, possibly leave, who would be the ones to probably actually get him.
And there isn't many other clubs you could see at the moment who he would be like beating down the door to go to, don't you think?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Well,
what do you think, Gage? Pardon?
Newcastle might need a new manager. I know it sounds stupid, but there's his chance to get into the Premier League.
That's true. What do you think, Gage? Who can you see Klopp going to?
Well, I mean, realistically, Arsenal are not going to get rid of Arsene Wenger mid-season. So I think Arsenal's kind of ruled out here if he leaves tomorrow or, in the next week or whatever. But I think Liverpool's probably the most realistic. Newcastle it's a possibility, but I think it's a slim chance, to be honest with you. Do you think he would go to England, or do you think he would try to stay out of England? I mean,
I'll give this one to Richard. What do you think, Richard?
Where else is going to be a challenge? He's not going to Barcelona. He's not going to Real Madrid.
That's my opinion. There's not the teams out there at the moment.
Exactly. He's not going to Bayern Munich. He's not going to Juventus, AC Milan. Where else is he going to go? And it's the pinnacle. I mean, I know that we all go on about the Premier League being the best league in the world. Personally, I don't think it is. I think there's better leagues out there, but the Premier League is the pinnacle. I mean, everybody goes on that the only reason why Lionel Messi can't be classed as the best player in the world ever because he's never played in the Premier League. Cristiano Ronaldo has. He's done it there. He's done it in Spain. Where else is there for Jurgen Klopp to go? If there's a job available in England, then that's his destination. If it is true that he's going to be going from Dortmund.
But also, the Premier League may not be the best league in the world, but it's certainly the most exciting.
Yeah, but you know, I called it a few weeks ago on a few shows. Jurgen Klopp will be managing in the Premier League come the end of January. Dortmund are struggling. He's got nothing left there. Every single season since they won the Bundesliga and got to the Champions League final, every year since then, they've sold one of his best players.
Yeah.
You know, and you can't... You know, he's got Marcus Rausch left, who's now probably out for the rest of the season.
And there's rumours that he may be going in the summer as well. Well, definitely in the summer, but maybe in, the winter... winter transfer window.
You know, that's the thing, is that are Dortmund ever going to have that team again? You know, your Goetzes, your Kagawers, your Lewandowski, your Rouse, Matt Hummels, and that's the thing, if the loyalty that them players have got now to the manager, if the manager goes, it's going to be a free-for-all for Dortmund's players.
Yeah, I was going to say, if Klopp leaves, then would you mind seeing Hummels at Man United, Richard?
Would I mind seeing Hummels at Man United?
Hey,
if Hummels was available, I'd go and pick him up.
Yeah.
Yeah, that doesn't even need to be brought into question.
No, it really doesn't. But I just kind of wanted to see Richard's thoughts on that.
Yeah.
Oh, no, we could keep Chris Smalling at centre back, and we'll be all okay, won't we?
But what rumours have you heard, Andrew, that you thought are quite interesting?
Well, I mean, sorry to bring it up again, but I mean the Klopp one before the Arsenal match, he was quoted as saying he does want to manage in England. There is a desire there for him to come to England. So I think the point that was brought up before is Newcastle. I think he has such a passion for English football, so that if Newcastle was the last choice, I think he would actually do it. I don't think it is such a silly idea for him to possibly go to somewhere like Newcastle and just think, you know what, I'll go here and try and build up. Because I mean, that's the thing. It's like Jurgen Klopp has done amazing things at Dortmund and everything, but we can only go off the season we've just seen. So I mean, like from September, August to today, he hasn't had a great season. They've done all right in the Champions League, but I mean, his credibility has been hit, regardless of how good he has been. Yeah. It just happens with managers.
And also,
I mean, let's not think. Look at Newcastle. I mean, I know they're not the Champions League team that everybody talks about, but you go back through the years and look at the caliber of player that Newcastle have been able to attract. I mean, Alan Shearer, he was a boyhood fan, so he was bound to go there. Patrick Kluivert, the managers that they've had, Ruud Gullit, Bobby Robson, they're not a club to be laughed at. They've attracted big name players in the past, and why not again? Why can't they attract a Jurgen Klopp?
It definitely could happen, but I think a lot of managers will only go to certain places now, won't they? They'll go for the money, as it were. And could Newcastle offer that, especially with Mike Ashley seem to be off?
But they managed to give Pardew an 8-year deal.
That's true. But I don't know whether as much it would happen if Mike Ashley went, because who's going to become their new owner?
I can't. Can you see Mike Ashley leaving though? I mean,
well, it seems like he's got his heart set on Rangers at the moment.
But he's ploughing money into Rangers already. So why does he need to leave Newcastle?
I don't know. I'm just going by the rumours.
He's got a. You've got to look at it at this point of view. He's got a Premier League club that's established now, back in the Premier League. That have no fear of relegation. His brand, Sports Direct, is in the Premier League week in, week out. his merchandise week in, week out. Why would he get rid of all that money?
I'll give this to Andrew.
The only thing I can think is we have the things with owners where, like we say, Newcastle aren't going to get relegated, but then again, they're not going to get in Europe. So it's kind of that thing of, what can I do now? I understand your point in the fact that he's got his merchandise being publicised on live television across the world. But I think, like, with Mike Ashley, he's probably got so much money that he's probably got just bored of Newcastle and just thinks, I'll try a new thing with Rangers.
Definitely, that's what my opinion is. That I can't see him having Rangers and Newcastle. That's the only problem I see. And we've seen for years that he's been trying to sell it. Maybe the time's come for him to sort of like bid farewell.
Yeah.
But there's obviously it's been officially announced that Fernando Torres has left Chelsea. He's joined Atletico Madrid. Well, AC Milan have bought him, and he's officially left Chelsea. What are your guys' thoughts on that?
I don't know where you're going to get them one goal a season from now. Ooh, you're going to struggle.
Yeah, that's it now, Leon. Is that it now? You're just going to pack it in being a Chelsea fan because you've lost your star striker now.
Leon was a Liverpool fan, wasn't he, before Torres went?
Yeah, you have to get an Atletico Madrid shirt now.
He's already got one.
I've already got one. Yeah, I've got my United kit on now, just in case they do well. But no, it's interesting to see how his career sort of. I'm not going to personally say like dipped, but he didn't have the best times at Chelsea, and also he came at a point when Drogba was unstoppable. So, it wasn't easy for him. I don't particularly think it was an Ancelotti buy either. I think it was an Abramovich buy. So, he's not going to have an easy time if the manager didn't exactly pick himself either.
Well, Chelsea have just killed another world-class striker, haven't they? I mean, they killed Torres, Shevchenko.
To be fair, if we look back at Torres' career, there's a big gap where he joined Liverpool and left Liverpool, where he won nothing, and he won the Champions League and the Europa League at Chelsea. So
yeah, but come on, Jonathan Greening's got a European Cup winners medal.
Yeah,
none of you even know who that is, do you?
Nope.
I certainly don't.
But there you go, Jonathan Greening. He looked a bit like Alan Davies, the comedian. He played for Manchester United for a while. He was actually in the squad for the European Cup final in 1999 and got a winners medal.
Yeah, but at least Torres played like consistently throughout that campaign.
But what did he contribute though? What did Torres contribute to Chelsea? Nothing at all, apart from a £50 million price tag.
Well, he scored a goal against Barcelona.
Yeah, he scored numerous goals.
Whoa, hang on a minute. Whoa. My grandma could have scored that goal against Barcelona.
And also what I'll say to Andrew is
the nearest person was in Madrid.
But all I'll say to Andrew from that was exactly he did score it. There's a lot of players that would have stayed back, but he tracked upfield and scored it. Also in the chat, also
upfield because he was too lazy to go back and defend.
But in my opinion, there is points that he can look back in the Champions League final. If he wouldn't have come on and got that corner, we wouldn't have won that. End of. We saw his reaction when he done that. He assisted numerous goals that year when we was going to. Okay, he wasn't the prolific goal scorer we saw at Liverpool, but he wasn't the season that we bought him either. He was pretty poor after he left the World Cup. He never recovered from that World Cup.
Am I right in saying he scored in the Europa League final?
Yeah, he did, yeah.
That's what I mean. Like, how can you not say that's not an achievement?
Exactly.
Scoring in the Europa League final. Like, he could have done nothing, never played for Chelsea, plays that one match, and he's helped him winning a trophy.
Also, ever since he joined Chelsea, he's had consistent trophy wins. You know, he won the FA Cup. He's won the Champions League. He's won the Europa League. He's done quite well with Spain. You know, he hasn't. His career didn't dip the minute he joined Chelsea. If anything, he had his most successful trophy-winning years at Chelsea. Okay, he wasn't the amazing goal scorer.
If I'd have signed for Chelsea when Fernando Torres did, I'd have a Europa League medal, a Champions League medal.
You would only have a Europa League medal if you scored in it. You would have only had a Champions League medal if you would have come on.
I guarantee you, if I'd have signed for Chelsea, I'd have scored more goals than Fernando Torres. I think if my little sister had
You know what I'll say, Richard?
More goals than Fernando Torres.
You know what I'll say? Falcao.
No, yeah, but Falcao has scored 2 goals in 4 starts.
Will Falcao win anything at United?
If he stays, yes.
And
do you think he'll stay, though?
Yes, I think the deal's already done. He's a Manchester United player.
That's interesting, but that's we've gone quite off topic, you know, having a dig at Fernando Torres, but with the transfer rumours, you know, the other ones, Podolski leaving to go to Inter Milan. What do you think of that, Gage? We haven't had you much in on the transfer topics at the moment.
Well, I think Podolski's kind of, I don't want to say he's wrapped up his Arsenal career, but he's not a first-team player anymore, really, so...
Would you have him at Tottenham?
Would I have him at Tottenham? For the sake of rivalries, no, but he's a good player, and I don't know, that's a tough one, actually, because he's a good player, but where does he fit into Tottenham's squad? That's the thing.
Mm. And could you see him at any other Premier League team at the moment?
Everton, maybe. I mean, he could go to Everton. They've got a decent midfield, though, and a decent strike force, so I don't see them buying him, but I think Inter Milan's probably the best place for him, really, because like we saw Vidic go there, so...
Yeah, definitely. Have you guys seen any other transfer rumours that you felt that was quite important?
Yeah, my friend's been going on about Bale being unsettled at Real Madrid and wanting to go to United, but I don't know how much truth there is in that.
If he wanted to come to United, he'd come to us when he had the chance. He came back to England to speak to Manchester United and went to Real Madrid.
He wanted to go abroad, though. That's the thing.
But I mean, looking at that, I mean, it's another one of them rumours that doesn't seem to go away. But you know, did Spanish football on Sky they did a poll, didn't they? And was it 58% of Real Madrid fans said they'd sell him?
But I think that I totally agree with that. But I think what they actually meant was like if they got that much money, because they actually said if you sold him for like 160 million, would you rather sell him?
The only way that Gareth Bale's coming to Manchester United is if they get David De Gea in as part of the deal, and David De Gea's going.
You don't think he might go?
No, not a chance. I think you've got to look at it at this point of view. Okay.
Yeah.
David De Gea is a born and bred Atletico Madrid fan. He's not going to Real Madrid. It's as simple as that. He's not going. That is like Steven Gerrard signing for Manchester United. That is like Gary Neville signing for City or for Liverpool. He's a die-hard boyhood Atletico Madrid fan. He's not going playing for Real Madrid. Barcelona, maybe. Back to Atletico Madrid. Not Real Madrid.
I don't think De Gea would go back to Atletico Madrid because I think he wants to see titles, really, or trophies. I don't see Atletico Madrid winning any major trophies, really, in the next year. I mean, obviously they're a good team with Mandzukic and Turan, but can you see them competing with someone like Barcelona, Real Madrid, or in the Champions League, like Bayern Munich?
I don't know if you guys agree, but I don't see Real Madrid seriously bidding for David De Gea until Casillas retires. You know, I don't see them getting David De Gea to sit on the bench until he retires.
I just can't see him leaving United. I think he'll sign a new deal.
Yeah, it may be. I personally think, yeah, okay, I know he's like a boyhood fan and stuff like that, but I think if the right offer came in, then potentially, but I don't think that will happen until Casillas retires, and then I think it'll be too late. Then I think he's already gone.
I mean, going back to your question on whether or not I've heard any rumours or anything, I've not heard that many rumours, to be perfect honest. It seems to be quite quiet on the whole transfer front. But I think of looking at it from a fan's point of view, I think Manchester United would be ridiculously stupid not to sign at least one defender in the January transfer window.
Oh yeah, they have to.
I think Liverpool have got to take a punt. Do they stick it out for the rest of the season, hope Sturridge comes back and him and Balotelli hit it off? I think Liverpool need to get rid of Balotelli. I think they'll try and get rid of him in January.
I think they'll try, but I don't think they'll be that successful. Because I was going to
say, who on earth is going to buy Balotelli?
Rafa Benitez wants him at Napoli.
I think maybe that would be another shout for the Liverpool job.
Rafa Benitez? Yeah, don't see why not. You know,
I mean, I really don't like him and everything, but
who doesn't like the fat Spanish waiter? Come on.
Oh God, I hated it when he joined Chelsea. That was like a nightmare. That was worse. That was worse than playing FIFA and then seeing Roy Keane was outside your house.
I honestly think that Arsenal. I think Arsenal need to strengthen. Whether they will or not, that's a different story. Like I said, I mean, I worry for Arsenal because if Sanchez gets injured, I can't see where their spark is. I can't see where they're going to win their games from. And I mean, they've got Giroud back at a fantastic time, and then he goes and gets himself stupidly sent off and banned for 3 games.
Yeah, that's absolutely stupid.
You know, I mean, I honestly can't see where the goals are coming from at Arsenal if Sanchez gets in. Where not just the goals, where the threats coming from. If he gets injured, I mean, fingers crossed he doesn't get injured, because we all like to see a world class player week in, week out. You know, he was class. He is class, but if he gets injured, Arsenal are in trouble. I think Liverpool need to buy, but are they going to give him another 50, 60 million because he's paying over the odds for players? I mean, look at how much money he's spent in his time at the club, and it's not paid off.
Yeah, definitely. Also, Andrew, who would you see coming into Arsenal?
Oh God, it's such a tough question because I think of the places that need strengthening, and obviously we have centre back and that CDM role. And who could you buy? Like, think how much money you'd have to spend to actually get someone who's good in that position in January. I mean, I honestly, genuinely couldn't think of a player who could really come into the squad who's actually realistically affordable and actually strengthen. I can't think of it personally.
Say that again, sorry.
I think. Well, me or Andrew?
Andrew, did you say something then?
No, I just finished my point then, sorry.
Oh, sorry. Yeah,
what
go
about,
ahead, Gage.
Khedira,
yeah, I understand that one completely, but that's another one where Arsenal are going to have to pay so much money to get him that it's going to be the amount of money that Wenger won't spend in January. That's the only problem with it.
Yeah.
When you have such a stubborn manager, it's there's no point trying to think like, oh, Arsenal could get him off, because it just doesn't happen. Because if it's not worth the money, he won't spend it in his eyes, whereas the rest of us could be screaming it.
But is that not the same as Jurgen Klopp, if he's available, get him? Because if Khedira's available in January, and if he costs 40 million, he costs 40 million, because if you don't buy him, somebody else will, and that's Khedira out the question for the next 3 years.
That's true.
I don't think Khedira would be that much, though, because he said already that he wants to leave Madrid. So I don't know if they would hold a team to ransom like that.
You could, I mean, Real Madrid need a goal scorer, so you could probably swap him for Welbeck and.
Well, no. Well, why would I sell a player who's worth £1 billion? What's the point?
Could give them Falcao if they need a goal scorer.
You could get 100 million plus Khedira for Danny Welbeck or something.
Give over. We're not going to sell him for less than $1 billion. No way.
Could give him Falcao if they're looking for a goal scorer.
I'd have swapped him for a Kit Kat.
But no, that's
Richard, why don't you tell everyone what you got for Christmas?
What? Okay. Andrew got me a lovely little present for Christmas. Obviously, for the viewers that don't know, me and Andrew are quite close. We spent Christmas together. It was very romantic.
He wishes.
He provided me with quite possibly the best Christmas present of all time, a miniature Danny Welbeck.
Oh, brilliant.
But I got him.
You should have just got him. You should have just got him an Arsenal kit with Welbeck on the back. We should have just got him an Arsenal kit with Welbeck on the back. That would have been priceless.
But I wouldn't have been able to see the name, though, would he? That's the problem.
Are you going to tell everybody what you got for Christmas, Andrew?
Yes, Richard got me probably one of the best gifts ever. He got me a personalised signed Thierry Henry T-shirt in the same month that he retired. So thank you very much for that, Richard.
Very, very thoughtful after the nasty present that you got him.
He gets a signed Arsenal shirt, and I get a Danny Welbeck bobblehead.
I know. Think how much I lost out on that. He got a Danny Welbeck toy.
Yeah, proper thought went into that, and then Andrew's just feeling left horrible. But thanks for coming on the show, Gage. You've been a great guest. But
yeah, thanks for having me, guys.
We'll call it the end of the show here. Thanks for watching. If you have any thoughts about the show you want us to do, please leave it in the comment section. Once again, contact us on Twitter. Andrew will be running that. And thank you.
Thanks a lot for listening, guys.
Yeah. Cheers, guys. Thanks for coming on, Gage, mate.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Richard.
No worries, mate.